Welcome back from break, everybody. We just finished one amazing 6-map grand finals, and we are going to another one of GitGud EU Limited, sponsored by ExpressVPN. Now, in the previous map, the intermediate finals, it was a lot of mistakes. It was very good play, but there were many things to exploit. But now we're going up to another tier of Overwatch. We're going to the expert division to see the grand finals.
I'm excited because last series we had 6 maps, right? We saw some very genuine flaws. For example, we saw a team that couldn't play control. Now we're in a similar situation. We saw the lower bracket team actually come through and take that in the last series. We have the BlueWhites coming out from the lower bracket this time around, and we have the Vulpine Dragons coming up from the upper bracket.
And it was the Vulpine Dynamos that did send the BlueWhites down to losers. So this is a different scenario. In the previous match, it wasn't the Honey Badgers who fought Bad English. Because of that, Bad English had almost no data on the Honey Badgers. This time, it's a fairly recent matchup between these two teams, and BlueWhites, they're coming in hot for revenge.
Yeah, and this is interesting because you kind of look over the course of the bracket, and it kind of looks like Vulpine Dynamos, they're a little bit better than the BlueWhites, just because of like how they, prepared over playing similar competition. And I just think this is going to be an interesting matchup because, again, Vulpine Dynamos, they've been the best team in the tournament. They're coming for the upper bracket. BlueWhites, they've come for the losers bracket. We saw a similar story last time. But we actually saw the losers bracket opponent, so you have a Dev Rask who come back in, didn't have really any disadvantage to going for the losers bracket, other than maybe one more vault. That's it. The losers bracket came through last time. We'll see if there's a similar trend here.
The one little advantage I can see afforded to BlueWhites is they got a 3-1, so they have time to reset. And these are who we're going to be seeing: Samuni, Sniper, Minivale, Aurora, Ghostic, Ghost, and Ollie on the side of BlueWhites. Now, what are we going to be seeing from them, Ocean?
Well, it's going to be interesting because it looks to me from the BlueWhites, they want to play some brawl variants, but faster brawl variants that can punish in the mid fight. So this is what we're looking at Moira. Before we get to like end fight territory and longer fights, Moira's really good at burst healing. And additionally, you've got Echo, who's really good at engaging in the mid-fight and punishing targets. Those are the heroes that they've listed to us that they like to play. On the other side, it seems that it's either double bubble or it's direct brawl from Vulpine Dynamos. And I think I like the idea, again, of being able to play both of those compositions, and being able to play them traditionally. I think that's important.
Yeah. Pome and Janik are going to be... They say they really want to run this more divey style, which is interesting, a different dynamic than what we saw before in the intermediate grand finals, which was much more brawl-centric. Going up against BlueWhites that seems to be running a modified brawl with an Echo, that's going to be quite a different dynamic.
Yeah, and this is where I could see you bring up those divier styles of brawl. What I'm talking about is your Somber Tracer, Winston D.Va, Lucio Moira composition, which sometimes you don't see Lucio Moira, you sometimes see Lucio Bap, of course, which is like your traditional brawl based support line. Additionally, you could see Sombra Reaper, Winston D.Va, Lucio Moira, and play like a really fast style of the Blackout brawl. And this is where you can see those different variations of brawl come back into play. Those variations of brawl that were meta for like Trial of Champions era, like late contenders trials last year.
Yeah, and the thing about BlueWhites that is I'm going to have my eye on in particular is the fact that because they, as we said, they like that more traditional style, and presumably they were playing that when they fought Vulpine Dynamos before, and they were beaten. So the question is, are you just going to tighten up your play and play into that meta, or are they going to throw a wrench in things and switch things up against their former defeaters?
I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's certainly one of those situations where you're like, so let's just see how it goes and then adapt. That's what I would do. Just play our game and then maybe adapt over the course of the series. We're going to go to Boost Zone first. Both of these teams listed this as their preferred control map. So no surprise to see this map here. So we'll see how this series starts off.
In the intermediate grand finals, it ended on Busan, but I have an inkling that it's going to be a different dynamic here because both these teams are fresh, raring to go. Because the intermediate grand finals took so long, these teams are chomping at the bit just to get their hands on each other. They want to brawl, and that's what we're going to be seeing from both sides.
Yeah, both teams want to brawl. I'm hoping that it's a little bit cleaner than the brawl that we saw from our intermediate division. It looks like BlueWhites, they want to get to the area that they want to fight first. Probably that right-hand side in and around the drum from where we're looking at. Their left-hand side? Their right-hand side, yes, as I was correct. That's probably where they want to go, is they've got the Symmetra teleporter, and then they're going to switch over to Tracer. Oh no, they're just going to go with the Sim. By the looks of things, let's see how they hold this area of control.
They're looking to use the Sim to have dominant control over this high ground area before Minivale can even get there with a wall. And they're able to save Beer's life right there, thanks to that immortality field rotating onto the point now. So giving up this inside area once they manage to get inside. Once again, going for the slowdown with the turrets, but Suomi is quick on the draw, taking those out. Now, they're playing around this drum, but Vulpine Dynamos have no respect for the drum. Going right around, Tobesy does win the McCree duel, though, on the rotation, catches them out. And with that nice charge right there, it will be an opportunity to punish. Beer goes down, and that means they're not going to get a chance to really capitalize off the ult charge they got from that charge. And, oh, an early sound barrier right there from Kip. But the fact that it doesn't give them the guaranteed fight win is worrying.
Yeah, this is an extremely weird fight for both teams, as both teams just wait out the charge up. The Symmetras are getting their win conditions online. The Blizzard is now coming out from the Vulpine Dynamos.
And this is looking nice for the BlueWhites, though. Coming out from the losers bracket after winning their first match. This is exactly what you want to be seeing. They gave respect to the Mei, they outplayed it, and now they have the advantage Symmetra gives you. A more powerful wall than Mei's in Symmetra's photon barrier.
Yeah, this is extremely interesting to me at the start of this next team fight, because both teams have similar tools online. You've got an engagement tool on Matrix versus an engagement tool in self-destruct. Those sort of little engagements and little differences I want to see from these teams.
Oh, that's a bomb to the back line. Tobesy is going to fall to it, but in Vulpine Dynamo's rush to contest it, to capitalize off of the space made by the bomb, they left themselves wide open. The shatter from Beer will be all Ray needs to clean up, and even though it was a heavy fight, BlueWhites come out on top.
Yeah, this is such a weird matchup to play against, because I guarantee that the Vulpine Dynamos that BlueWhites have never played against the Symmetra on this point. Sorry, we've had a little bit of a reflection there, and Vulpine Dynamos on the left, BlueWhites on the right. This is interesting to me, right? You've got double support ultimates for the BlueWhites coming into this next fight. Vulpine Dynamos only have the Deadeye to use at a high tempo, so if you get to the mid fight, you're in trouble.
Ooh, but that is a teleporting McCree into the background. Tobesy barely getting out of dodge there, but Minota, they're going to use that sound barrier very early on to give their team an advantage. Let them just rush down Beer with the health of a bunch of tanks. Tobesy is able to get the pick off in the middle, but Minivale is just doing a great job hanging out in the middle of this round, getting the self-destruct kill very late in that fight. And Vulpine Dynamos, despite trading for most of this engage, are already up to 85%.
And additionally, there's no Blizzard online for the next fight, kind of wasted in the previous engagement. There's going to be a stagger on the McCree as well. If there is a last fight, it's going to be difficult because you have no ultimates, and also it's going to be a 5v6, even 4v6 now without the Diva.
Ray getting 2 kills right off the bat. Both tanks down. There's no way to open and engage. Now with Ray putting their shield up as well, they're just, they didn't mean to kill everybody. It was just an accident. But accident or no, they're still going to slip and slide over that shatter as Beer puts it down. And that's going to be Vulpine Dynamos going up 1-0 on Busan.
This is such a weird matchup. I've never seen that Symmetra come out, so I can kind of sympathize for BlueWhites for not really knowing what to do there. We could maybe get better tests of where they are at compared to Vulpine Dynamos later on in this series, but I feel like Vulpine were in control of that map the entire time. They were using their win conditions and their game plans a lot better. They were executing them extremely well. For example, it was Deadeye versus the 2 support ultimates. The Deadeye got more value because they used it at the start of the fight and shut down any ability for the BlueWhites to even engage to get to the mid fight. for those support ultimates to get those values. Yes, they could have used Amp Matrix at the start of the fight to rival that Deadeye and kind of have rival pacings going on, but unfortunately BlueWhites didn't go for that. Looks like we're going to see the Symmetra again.
Yeah, no maze on the high ground. The real question for me, though, is Minivale actually was just going for the teleport. They're going to be on the Doomfist now. A lot of displacement, but it's a glass cannon. You got to make sure that once Doomfist disrupts the front line, you are ready to peel for them. And, well, Minivale was not getting that peel. Beer there is for the capitalization, and they are leading their team in the charge. Only a half shield health right there, which means they didn't even need the block damage. They're doing fine as they get all healed up and capture the point for the first time. Vulpine Dynamos holding their lead.
Well, first fight as well. They just go. They just go. There's no hesitation in this team. You remember when we saw those little inconsistencies in the intermediate division? Not here with the Vulpine Dynamos. BlueWhites, they kind of remind me of some of the intermediate teams. They don't engage. They're too scared. They are not even respecting their opponents. They're just scared of them.
And Minivale keeps going down to Pome again and again and again. They are eating the brunt of this damage. Pray, oh my word. They have been so consistent on this Symmetra. Oh, phrase I didn't think I would have to say in the expert division, but it has been a real thorn in the BlueWhite side.
Looking at this right now, look at the McCrees. Tormsy as McCree is 7 metal blows, 22 limbs, 47% weapon accuracy. Those stats not too impressive in the front of it. Look at that teleported Deadeye. It's how they're working with their team, how they're working with their DPS here that's so impressive to me. They're sitting back, waiting for these openings, and when they get these openings, they're taking full advantage because from the other points, it's the ratio.
And it kind of reminds me of the old strat of the teleporter bomb, except instead of sending turrets, you're sending Tobesy into the backline again and again and again. This has been a consistent engage strat. This is a practiced method of engage Vulpine Dynamos have been using, and it's working. And now Ray has this barrier once again, completely disrupting the amplification matrix. It's not going to get a chance to get value from that ultimate, as Minivale once again is the first to go down, but now Aurora, they are looking to turn this around to 4K for them, and they're looking to keep it going strong. 5 kills off of the back of that shatter.
That is exactly what the BlueWhites needed, and honestly, it came a bit out of nowhere, right? The Vulpine Dynamos, they were just kind of finishing off that fight, but suddenly Aurora cancels another shatter, gets 4 kills, and they're back in this map. But it's not even last fight territory, one fight territory for Vulpine. They're 82%. Usually you're looking at like 85 for that, but they have some ultimates to work with to engage. It's going to be difficult to walk into this Graviton Surge and this Doomfist in this choke area. It's going to be harder for the Vulpine Dynamos than you might think.
Minivale, it has just not been their day. Not even able to use their ult to get out of the meteor strike, not saving them. But the BlueWhites pressing the advantage even without their Doomfist. Off of the grab, they're able to hold strong. And BlueWhites, they're up to 35% on the board.
Looking at this right now, we got dueling Deadeyes and we got dueling support ultimates. So what are we going to do with these? Who's going to use this Deadeye at a high tempo, get more value? Who's going to get more value out of these support ultimates? It's just really a duel of those little matchups.
Oh. And an exact duel across the way. But unfortunately, no kills for either side. But they wasted every cooldown. And without that, the BlueWhites were happy to get there right on top of the Vulpine Dynamos and finish off that point. Now, it's looking like a complete turnaround.
Yeah, you know, it was a complete duel, we saw that, but what we actually saw is Aurora realizing it's a complete duel, just walking right the side casually and pressing the Air Shatter button, getting a lovely Air Shatter clean up that fight. It's again a dueling sort of fight where you've got both teams with sound barrier here. The other probably blinks first, it's going to be a little bit of trouble, which is contrary to what you usually say. You kind of want to blink second in.
Oh, but the point flip does come out along with Ray's shield, giving them a lot of stall potential on this point, especially with Beer hitting the shadow on the high ground. Mini dropping down to get some damage onto the tanks, and they do get the D-Mech onto Pome, but that's the only kill afforded to them. 95% on the board. I don't think Pome is going to go for a reset at all. It's 98% in building. If this takes over, and it does, no overtime for them, Vulpine Dynamos maintaining their status as in the winner bracket, as the winner of this map, going up 1-0 in the series.
I'm looking at this series so far, and Vulpine Dynamos, they're a better drill team. They seem to have come out with a specific game plan of playing around the Symmetra, and I'm all for that. I'm all for playing specific game plan against specific opponents, and it seems that is what we're doing here. On the Vulpine Dynamos, additionally, they look a little bit more well drilled, right? In those neutral fights, they seem a lot stronger. BlueWhites, Iora is probably the bright light for them. Had their moments, had 2 moments that won them 2 very convincing team fights. Other than that, not much convincing in those neutral fights. I thought they kind of got rolled over in those neutral fights. And until Iora made a play, I didn't really see anything with them that suggested they knew how to use their ultimates. Apart from the dueling ultimates as well, like both these teams did know how to use that Deadeye, which did impress me in the expert division. I'd expect that a little bit on higher up the ladder, because it's not exactly an obvious ultimate to see what it can do.
It's a comparison that a lot of people make, and sometimes it's not founded, but based on the amount of times we've said the word dueling ultimates, I feel like the comparison to GOATs is an easy one to make. It's a lot about getting the same ultimates, getting the same ultimate economy as your opponent, and then canceling out their ultimates with your own. And that's what we've been seeing time and time again, but BlueWhites just haven't been getting the better end of the stick out of those trades.
Yeah, I feel like in a couple of those fights, you could argue that they were the stronger team, but I feel like also they weren't building their ultimates at the start of those rides, and I definitely would actually thank Joe. I agree with your point, sorry. When it comes to Mecha Base, they weren't building those ultimates to actually get into these fights, right? They weren't. They didn't have anything, and once they did, they actually kind of got a little bit of momentum. Iora made a play, a bit of a lucky play, but it's a play nonetheless. And I got them back into the series, or the map at least, but it still wasn't enough to beat the Dynamos.
And I do have my eye on Aurora. We've been talking about them quite a bit, and to be honest, they kind of have textbook Reinhardt clutch play from what I saw. Like, in their play of the game, they got the cancellation on the Vulpine Dynamos Earth Shatter, as well as a massive shatter of their own. That alone, along with the game sense to know when to go for those long rotations during the dueling ultimates to disrupt the sort of established game plan, that is a advantage to be able to disrupt the standard methods of play. But if they get called out on it too much, I worry for the BlueWhites, because that is where a lot of their clutch potential came from.
Additionally, I do wonder why is the matchup coming up, right? We haven't seen much of the Vulpine Dynamos, right? But they've been running the Symmetra consistently. And it does seem to be, from what our understanding is, it's a targeted strategy. So what about the BlueWhites makes it so that they're struggling against Symmetra? Well, I did see that their engagements in pathing did have a bit to be desired at points, right? Their pathing was a little weak. And them getting themselves into the fight to use their ultimates in Sanctuary in particular was poor. I don't think we'll see the Symmetra again on Real, so that just doesn't make sense to me. But as a control pick to help, I liked it a little bit. I think it was unique.
Yeah, Rialto going to give a lot more potential to utilize high grounds, though Busan did have quite a bit of that. But the other thing that I think I'm going to like is the fact that it's going to force some up-close and personal encounters unless they're sticking with the Symmetra. And I got questions on what the rotations are going to be like. Is Ray perhaps a Symmetra one trick?
I mean, maybe, but again, what we're leaning towards here that is it's a personalized choice against the BlueWhites. So obviously they struggle at engagements or engaging into things that don't suit them. For example, if you maybe they would struggle against Junkrat spam as well, that sort of thing. As for our spam, I think maybe that they struggle to play aggressively into that. But they've gone for the Symmetra pick because you can't counter it with like a Widowmaker, that sort of thing. Maybe BlueWhites have a Widowmaker player behind the scenes, right? So maybe there are reasons for this, and we'll see how it works out.
Minivet with the instant swap to the Bastion, hearing the Diva's footsteps at the last second, and knowing that there's going to be a upfront hold. So getting the Bastion on the high ground uncontested is a very good call, especially with the Ana. Perfect play to capitalize off of knowing there are people waiting outside your door.
Well, this is extremely interesting. Severe's trying to play around like some limited cover here, and it's not quite going to work out. This spawn hold didn't even last that long, right? That wasn't even like a longer team fight. And you usually sometimes see that with the Bastion because you're able to play the cover. But there's no cover to play there. That was actually a really good switch from Minivale. Really good to identify that the Dio is just outside the spawn door and they make the swap. I like that play. Vulpine Dynamo's first spawn hold pretty poor. Only 30 seconds up to cloak. You didn't really build any of your ultimates. The only upside for them is Minivale now has to swap back to the main and doesn't have progress towards the Blitz.
Yeah, now the immediate high ground taking. This does open up so much good pathing. Oh, a full team stun right there. You don't see that often. Unfortunately, it's only a moment's notice It's a breath of fresh air. As Suomi Sniper is going to win the McCree duel with the help of their off-tank Ghost Stick supporting them, and now they're back to the front line to benefit off of Kara's Amp Matrix. But a big shatter from Beer, an opportunity, especially with that field going down, but Aora had one of their own on lock. But there's some nice kills coming out. Pome coming out big right now, and they still have the self-destruct if they really needed the panic button.
Yeah, this is just textbook Vulpine Dynamos coming back in. They're playing more aggressive, they're playing with more confidence, they're utilizing each other better, right? You got the Photon Barrier, the Air Shatter coming out in that last fight as well as the support ultimates, but they're utilizing each other. When they want Tomsy to make a play, or they need Tomsy to make a play, they're using that teleporter. When they want Poe to make like their main tank to make a play, Poe will sit on a target that's irritating their main tank. That sort of thing you don't really see from an expert division team. You expect from like high open division that team. So this Vulpine Dynamos team has a very clear understanding of what they want to do.
Ooh, the shield is definitely going to get broken, but that was a nice play right there from Pome, pretending they flew away and then immediately coming in. And the teleporter, high noon, it's teleporting, instant death, ready, microwave ready. Oh my word. And now they are, after that play like that, it's a hard reset. But these are some nice late kills coming out. Kip is probably going to have to go back and taxi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to matter too much because they already have control of this high ground, and Pome and Amber can kind of sit in this fight for a long time. But BlueWhites, you have got some positives. You've got both support ultimates online. You've got self-destruct as an engagement tool, or however you really want self-destruct to be with versatile ultimate, and you've got a Blizzard direct fight-winning ultimate to try and get in here.
Yeah, Pome getting debacked early is going to have that self-destruct to rely on, and they do find Burnoda. That is the big opener, but Ghost Stick firing back. Pome back in the mech first, of course, ready to fly in with the mini-missiles, get Mini-Veil, and this is honestly looking like a potential full hold. BlueWhites have some ultimates. How are they going to use it, though?
This is a complete rollover. Vulpine Dynamos, they have a better understanding of the composition they're playing. They've definitely come to the races with a direct strategy to counter how BlueWhites struggle. The only positive is you've got ultimates. You've got a data at the start of the fight. You've got ultimates in the mid fight. They're really strong, good, strong fight-winning ultimates. But they haven't been executing any plays so far, BlueWhites. So why should I expect any different now?
And going for the long rotation, betting it all. And when you only have one fight left, you might as well go for these risky, longer rotations that give you a better chance of victory in the end. As now, Vulpine Dynamos, it's their turn to try and attack, but another teleporting Deadeye. This time, Ghost Stick had the read on him, though, and Tobsy will be the one to fall in the standoff. Now, with an advantage, this is looking good. Vulpine Dynamos, they're struggling, but they still have some clutch potential. They still have Pome alive. They still have the Shatter, and in the Immortality field, anything can happen as this shield goes down upon what could be the final fight. Has one main tank down, but that's the only kill that's going to come out right now. Pome, they have the self-destruct, but I don't think they're going to want to waste it right now, as this is not looking good. They might have another chance in overtime under the bridge.
I think they are actually going to have another fight, and they can keep their Demon on cart. Yeah, okay, they do. There's a Demon dies on the cart, which means they are going to get another fight. BlueWhites, they do have a Blizzard and self-destruct, which could make the engagement difficult for Vulpine Dynamos, but just using the Photon Barrier forced out both support ultimates from the BlueWhites. So if they do get into this fight, they have no sustainability on the side of the BlueWhites.
Ooh, and the wall goes up right into the Amp Matrix to cancel it out, but the sound barrier just barely reaches Beer in time for them to survive. Unfortunately, that Blizzard was just too good. Right on top of the cart, you need to be there, and if you're there, you're frozen. So, BlueWhites, they have another chance in this map. Even though it looked in very dire straits, they managed to pull through in the end.
You've got to give credits to BlueWhites though. That was a really good team fight find. Ghost Stick uses the self-destruct to make the engagement really, really difficult over the bridge. You saw that they had to be a lot more patient. That makes the May wall easier, and then that makes the Blizzard easier. Just kind of nicely breaking things in and making things simple for themselves in that team fight. That was a lot better from the BlueWhites. But anyways, they're going to try and set up on the low ground. Typically not what you do. You obviously want to have that high ground position here on the ulti, particularly those snares. Or where's this TP Deadeye going?
Ooh,
I think they're going to back.
In the bait right there? Yeah. Hoping for some sort of engagement once they saw the high noon had vanished. But just like the Avatar, they're back in no time. And now Suomi Sniper with their amplification matrix, not going to use it. Instead, just dropping down to try and get a better angle. But they force them inside, but that's a massive 5-person shatter. Followed up with the self-destruct. That's a fight over.
Aora with the huge shatter, but I have to question, what are the Dynamos doing there, right? You know, you have one of the most advantageous places to hold in the game, full stop, in that stair position and on that high ground, and you just leave it. Let the BlueWhites have it. Of course, as soon as they get the ideal engagement, they're going to win that team fight, and that's exactly what they did. You come back in with Photon Barrier here, sure, but that's a lot of unnecessary grind to give up.
And now it's time for Beer to get a shatter of their own, but the Nota is there to cancel it out with a sound barrier. It's trading 1-for-1 in terms of ultimates, but Vulpine Dynamos, they are not getting the edge. BlueWhites, they're trying their best to stabilize, but Tobesy coming in big. In the mid-fight, they have been a monster and showing it now.
Yeah, this is a good team fight for the Dynamos. I'm still confused about why they gave up that round, but they could take a good team fight, and now they're taking it this time. It seems like they're learning from their mistakes. BlueWhites, they've got an engagement ultimate to get them into the fight, like up Matrix. I haven't Toasty. Where's this TP gonna go? Oh, I like that.
Oh, nice call right there, but it seems like Ghostic is getting wise to their tricks. If you do something very unexpected and then keep doing it over and over again, it only works so many times. I do have to wonder if Tobesy is ever going to get punished for it.
Yeah, I don't really think so, because you got the TP just to get right back out. But I do like how the BlueWhites are reacting to it now.
Well, now Suomi Sniper with a more traditional Deadeye looking to break through that shield. Make sure there's no defense for those people hiding on the cart, as it's overtime situation once again when BlueWhites seems to always come alive. And it's another stall, maybe another chance to contest. But it didn't go that clean last time in the overtime.
Yeah, it didn't go right for the Vulpine Dynamos last time. And look, actually, the BlueWhites have the exact same two ultimates online. So if they go for the touch, we know exactly what's going to try and come in here from the BlueWhites. Can they execute the play the exact same one?
Yeah, it's not as bottled up, so maybe Vulpine Dynamos have a bit more of an option. And with that self-destruct, it's looking good. But a self-destruct from Ghostic is going to get a little more perch because everyone was frozen up. They couldn't run away. And Tobesy, even though they're getting a little more clutch, there's still three people on. And they are not going to hold on. I have to assume that might be Ray switching because that's a very late commitment.
They've got to get off this direction now. Like, unless they were like absolutely deluded, the game could carry that team fight. That is a throwaway ultimate right there. And that could have been really useful for the next fight because the two ultimates on the other side, Sound Barrier and Earthshatter, can actually both kind of be disrupted or blocked by that Photon Barrier. So that's difficult. Now Beer has a Shatter of their own as well, so it's going to be duel between the Reinhardts.
Oh, Aora doesn't hit theirs, goes into their own maze wall, but Beer doesn't hit theirs either, so it's an even fight. Beer trying to charge away, though, is going to be punished for their cowardice by Ghostic, going right after them, charging in. But, oh, this is a very dicey situation. I am shocked that Ray lived that.
Yeah, they have got ultimates for BlueWhites online, both of them great at the start of a fight in high-tempo situations, so they can get this fight quick. They're in a good position. However, Tobesy is already starting off the fight strong.
Oh, but Suomi fires back. McCree's really being the difference maker right here, and with that immediate shutdown, Aoria getting 3 kills at the end right there, as everyone is all stumbling over each other, getting pushed into the doorway, kind of a Three Stooges situation, right into the waiting hammer. So 26 seconds, finishing right before overtime. BlueWhites going to have another chance at Rialto if Vulpine Dynamos finish.
I'm looking at this, right, and I can see why these are expert teams and not limited teams. I'm going to say my reasoning in a second. The Vulpine Dynamos are looking for high-tempo ways to use their Deadeye, right? And they're using it with Symmetric Teleporter, which forces them onto Symmetric, right? That's a very quick and easy solution to get quick and easy high-tempo Deadeyes and getting you to use those. But you could just, alternatively use the Lucius Speed Boost or anything else. Like, there are other ways to do it. And better, more efficient ways to do it. So I'm looking at these things, and then I'm looking at BlueWhites. They're improving over the course of the series. They are rotating the Dynamos, but when they get into the middle of the team fight, are they getting the value out of their ultimates? Maybe 50% of the time. It needs to be a little bit higher. You're usually looking around 70% of your ultimates have got to be getting the value they're looking.
Ooh, and Vulpine Dynamos, you can see they're not going for a Bastion strat, are they? I believe this is just to counter out what they hear hiding in the corner right there, but I don't know if they know where the BlueWhites are going to be attacking from. Tobesy not going to get a ton of value from this position.
I think they're just expecting them to be there because it is an escort map. Having an easy spawn hold is nice.
And that's a nice pick. Oh, Pome getting right onto the cart, forcing someone to go out and contest, and Ghost Stick is going to be the one to fall, baited out into Tobesy's line of fire, and now Tobesy has a bit more information on who's waiting for them, and once again, Pome is just going to happily escort the cart down the lane. BlueWhites just have to watch.
I want to see if Ray gets involved here, or even Kip and Amber to try and pressure where they were just kind of hiding. Okay, the BlueWhites rotate away and go to take the corner. Finally, that rotation comes through. I was wondering if someone was going to get involved and catch them on.
And now we're back to the standard Vulpine Dynamos composition, and BlueWhites, they're trying to capitalize. They know there's a moment where there's no DPS with the Vulpine Dynamos, and they are right on top of them to capitalize. 2 kills for them, and as the Symmetra and McCree roll in, they find their entire team has fallen, so might as well take a dip.
I don't understand the Symmetra pick anymore. I feel like it's lost its warranty. I think if you do want to go for high tempo Deadeyes, there are other more efficient ways to do it. I think like the way BlueWhites have started to rotate under the high ground around this map, I don't think you can play that Symmetra. I don't think you can make it too difficult for your opponents.
And another key thing right here. Oh, Amber caught out in the jump, trying to get onto the high ground. I like the idea of using the Symmetra to take the high ground, but when there's a high noon like that, you can't go for that sort of play. As Tobesy, it's going to be the only kill, as this has been so dominant on this hold.
I don't like the break pick here either. I think if you're going for break, you're going to play either one of those weird bunkery type poke comps, or you want to play a dive composition, ideally. Right? If you're not playing a dive composition with break kind of loses a lot of her value. As like just a general backline hero and a lot of her utility in general. I think they've got the photon barrier here to engage, so we'll see what route Vulpine Dynamos take.
Yes. Ray going to be looking to hit this photon barrier, forcing BlueWhites to drop off the high ground if they want to have any fighting chance, and what's waiting for them? It's an Ant Matrix. Beer going to catch Corrode in that with the fire strike, and the turrets are just making it so difficult to get back down to the point. That's a late self-destruct committed right there, but not even able to remech to contest the point. Just going to continue rolling on. One more fight in BlueWhites on this point.
I want to see the Dynamos just walk up and push this aggressively, make it difficult for the BlueWhites to get another fight, because if they do get to the mid fight, look at the ultimates they have. Sound Barrier, Blizzard, pretty nice ultimates. Wait, what?
Oh! It was the knockback from the self-destruct. The immortality field was broken, and sure, they didn't die to the self-destruct, but they still died to the self-destruct, because everyone forgets it's one massive boop from that bomb.
I've never seen like something like that before on the relative range. The knockback from the self-destruct and the knockback from the shatter in one cases is what gets the kills. But I do like what I've seen from the Dynamos. They walk forward, they make sure they make that engagement difficult so that the BlueWhites don't get another fight. The problem is the BlueWhites have already secured the high ground on point B.
Oh, and Vulpine Dynamos, they have a storm waiting above, and it's raining down. Minivale now gonna use that Blizzard very early on. Aggressive ult usage is what I love to see. Pome going off the edge, just gonna go for the full reset right now as BlueWhites, they see the cart is rolling, and that is some nice distance gained from a lost fight, but Vulpine Dynamos, full reset now.
Right, okay, BlueWhites. Really good fight on point B. We've seen how... Oh, this stagger's brutal. He's gonna get frozen. He's got stunned. Okay, finally Amber gets off the map. Right, BlueWhites. Really good on point B so far, making sure you play around the high ground and take optimal fights when you're up there waiting for the moment. They did it on their offense as well. They did it on their offense. They managed to loop and cause like a defense versus offense situation. They are extremely good at that. You need to keep it up though. You need to keep using these Deadeye to pressure. You need to keep these positions going.
Oh, Kip didn't realize the door was there, and who was waiting for them but Suomi Sniper, getting them across the map, and also getting the D-Mech as well. Those early pickoffs right there are going to make that long rotation pretty much nullified, as it's just retreating now, hoping to get out maybe, but prolonging this fight isn't really doing a lot for the Vulpine Dynamos.
Yeah. Is fight over? No!
Beer coming in big. They actually managed to get the boop and the charge, and that is a game turner. You can get the recontest now, and it's going to be a longer walk from spawn because BlueWhites died so late. Now they're going to be in a desperate situation trying to push this in the end. Vulpine Dynamos, they are winning these fights in ways I do not expect.
I'm so confused how they won that team. I think it's like a lucky shatter and just gets a couple of kills.
Oh, and now the high noon is just going to immediately... Oh, there's the teleporter. It's gotten some value before, but never like that. And now this recontest is going to be that much harder. 2 people harder, in fact. And even with Zuumi Sniper hitting some clutch shots onto the Lucio flying through the air, it's not going to be enough. It's going to be the Vulpine Dynamos rolling on to the 3rd point.
They're not exactly your traditional team, are they, the Vulpine Dynamos? They either win a fight through like a random Earth Shatter, or it's a teleporter Deadeye or whatever. It's really unique to see. What I do like for BlueWhites is this change over to the Winston. This is one of the most aggressive roles in the game, and I really like this composition. They just want to get in the faces of their opposition.
Oh, but that's a nice blizzard. Centered right on top of the point. You can see almost everyone from the side of Vulpine Dynamos was frozen, but it might be a little bit too late as Tobzy is still alive, and Pome and Tobzy are enough to push this cart forward. They're not going to be able to hold it, but if the recontests come in, it's going to be last fight territory.
Yeah, look at the ultimates though for BlueWhites. What do you really have? Maybe a sound barrier mid-fight and a Deadeye, but those are going to be difficult to get value out of, especially with the opposing Deadeye and Photon Barrier online. I feel like just with the ultimates online, I think it favors the Vulpine Dynamos here.
Oh, going for the teleporter's bomb, but they knew exactly what was going to happen there. Already rotated around, and they were in the Vulpine Dynamos backline, so they have been strictly countered. But Padme is doing a great job. It's not enough, though, to contest with this spawn advantage as Aora. Oh, my word. I'm going to have to see the Rhine different stats after this, because even in losing fights, they have been so dominant.
Yeah, look at this now. The Vulpine Dynamos have nothing really for the next fight. I mean, you'll have a Deadeye at the start of the fight as a really cool engagement tool, or even just a high-tempo ultimate to try and get a pick. Other than that, what do you even have? Maybe a Earth Shatter, Pome still needs to actually get their mech. BlueWhites suddenly are in a really nice situation. Maybe 1.5 fights left?
Yeah, I think if you're Vulpine Dynamos, you just want to go for one long fight that can get you the victory. You don't want to go for one throwaway econ push. Tobzy, they have that bomb, but I don't think they're going for a traditional thing. They just drop the bubble to give them all coverage angles, but that is a nice shatter from Beer, going right into the back line, catching 2. A lot of kills right now for Vulpine Dynamos. They're set to take this. There's no one to contest, no one to touch, and with 24 seconds left, just 2 seconds left than what BlueWhites had, they finally finish Rialto.
So in this occasion, right, you're actually using the Deadeye for what it's for, right? Usually, it's great to see the Deadeye get the kills in the kill feed. It's nice to see that. But the Deadeye just to enforce cooldowns out and make sure that you can play at a higher tempo is so nice. And that Deadeye sets up. It sets up here for that slam. And once that slam comes in, it's over. That fight's done, right? We're going into additional innings of Rialto. So I really like that play from the Vulpine Dynamos. They really have these aggressive Deadeyes down. I just wish that they didn't have to play the Symmetra for it, you know? I wish they could just do it with a Lucio speed boost.
The one question I had in that last fight, did you see Ghost Stick was on the Winston that whole time? I think they switched to that in the 2nd point stall based on their ultimate charge, and they never got off of it. And that is confusing to me, because that meant you didn't have anything really to counter that Deadeye besides throwing down a lot of shields. You had to commit both shields to stop one Deadeye, which set up Beer for a massive shatter. You can't be doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Winston Reinhardt is actually a really good composition. It's called, you can call it Screwdriver or you can call it Bulldozer, depending on like what region you're from and what you've been taught. I prefer Bulldozer as a name for it, and you just go, go, go. That's the most aggressive form of brawl in the game when you're running that, but I don't think they realized that's actually like a strategy that they should have used.
Ooh. And they're just going for the same strat, but this time it's going to be BlueWhites going out to contest the cart, making sure Pome doesn't get that free distance. Zuumi Sniper is just getting so many pot shots onto that Diva, but Bastion is starting to get a little bit of value. Is dropping right down. Didn't expect the face check, but it's not going to work out in their favor. Aurora almost went down, but barely surviving there.
I like this adaptation for the BlueWhites, actually using that to cover underneath. Like the spawn to play that, I really like that. It means that Tobzy isn't gonna get much value on the Bastion, but it looks like they're kind of committed to playing how they did the first time around when they faced this. Having Home move the cart and then having the Bastion bring in damage, but they're just gonna sit underneath them. This is gonna be a very difficult fight for the Dynamos to win if they keep sitting like this.
And it's all on Pome right now to keep this cart alive. You can see they're trying to stay out of dodge, but they're barely getting the healing they need. Just bought enough time to force BlueWhites to go for the rotation around the back. Now, this is where they shine. This is, though, where the BlueWhites caught them without DPS last time. They need to be fast on these switches. Otherwise, this could go downhill. But Suomi Sniper catches Kip. Now, it's going to be AOR Surgeon in with the Shatter. There's no punish for it whatsoever. They are dominant. Not going to let that slip through their fingers this time in a full hold. This time from the BlueWhites. Adapting to what they saw Vulpine Dynamos do last time perfectly.
Yeah, they just sat underneath them. And what I was really meant to do, I was about to be critical of the fact that they decided to rotate without really having, that much pressure on them. But it was a good decision nonetheless, because they were able to get better value out of their ultimates and play a safer team fight. So, good decision in the end from the BlueWhites, and I feel like that was a really strong round from them. I feel like they've developed characteristically over this series quite a lot, right? Usually when we're kind of watching these teams, it's been quite a messy series so far. The BlueWhites are improving in all the right areas, and they are countering Vulpine Dynamos as an identity, and I like that.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting switch to see. I mean, obviously, Vulpine Dynamo is still getting value off of those Symmetro shenanigans. I feel like I think Vulpine Dynamos ran this against them before, because BlueWhites know exactly how to counter them. They've always been pushing forward right when Tobesy and Ray switch off, and they have to walk back from spawn as Symmetra and McCree. That is when BlueWhites win their fights. And that is something I don't think you would catch on to in your first match. I don't think this is a specific counterpick. I think this is Vulpine's style.
I mean, potentially, yeah, absolutely. And we're looking at this now, and we're going to see a similar sort of round. Vulpine Dynamos are going to use BlueWhites' strategy, just kind of hiding underneath. It's going to be about if they can actually rotate quicker around the back and get that fight to happen sooner. If they're actually going to beat BlueWhites here.
Oh, and it's the Ana that's making the real difference right here, because it's making it so hard for anyone to really get value as they try to hold on underneath. Again, these anti-nades make it so scary to make any sort of aggression happen, as Minivel does go down, but Topsy teleports out of dodge right in the nick of time. Fighting on the bridge now, where boops are a possibility, but it's going to be Ghostic who goes off the edge.
Yeah, Ghostic goes down, and the Bash is down there as well, so there's no real damage. However, Beer, the main engagement tool, the main front line for the Vulpine Dynamos, not quite online yet, is still on their way back from its spawn. The plus side, Tobesy has a Deadeye if they can get this engagement in on time.
Yeah, it's going to be an overtime fight. If they get this teleporter shenanigans right, this could be it. And there it is, going for the blind fire. It's not going to work, though. Instead, it's going to be a clean fight on the point. Amber dropping down that amplification matrix as Benoda, they hit the biggest anti-nade of their life right when you needed it most, and it's followed up upon, but Ray is full charge. They're just burning through it. They didn't care about the anti-nade because they had Kip's sound barrier to save them, and just like that, the instant turnaround you thought BlueWhites had him, but Vulpine Dynamos take it home in the end, going up 2-0 in the grand finals against all odds.
This is the weirdest, session of casting I have ever done. I have never seen this Symmetra, Deadeye shenanigans, every single team fight with dueling bastions and hiding underneath maps to bring also strange at the last series where our finals winners only won control maps. This is some weird conspiracy of Overwatch, and I'm thoroughly for it.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the camera to see when they're going to reveal that this is a prank, but we saw that BlueWhites definitely made the adaptations that they needed to stand up to Vulpine Dynamos, but ultimately it wasn't enough. They still lost enough ground in the beginning of the map that it didn't matter. Now, we're going to see if those adaptations can continue to happen, because if they stay at Vulpine Dynamos level, with the lead Vulpine Dynamos have, it's not going to be enough. Vulpine Dynamos are going to win, and we're going to be seeing if BlueWhites can continue those changes after this break. Welcome back, everybody, to the Expert Grand Finals of GitGud Limited EU. This has been a set, folks. That is all I can say about the duel between the BlueWhites and Vulpine Dynamos. As they've been brawling it out, Vulpine Dynamos are up 2-0, but that does not convey how close these Rialto stats have been.
Yeah, let's have a look at the Reinhardts, because this is probably the closest matchup that we can actually have a look at. Just a reminder, this is Rialto, a map that the Dynamos won, yet Iora has 80 more eliminations. What? 3k more damage done, 2k more damage blocked. So what we're really seeing is probably a lot more of the resources for the Vulpine Dynamos are getting put into their DPS, right? Whereas a lot of the resources for BlueWhites is all on Iora. And honestly, can you fault them? Because Iora has had a really good series.
Yeah, but this just shows that you can be as cracked as you like. You can be insane on the Reinhardt, but you still can't carry. You can't carry your team to the victory. And when the resources are evenly distributed, even though they're being used for odd shenanigans, Vulpine Dynamos with their even distribution is ultimately coming out on top.
My thing though is I do think when we do get into like these little Reinhardt wars, I actually do think Iora has played better, right? I do think Iora has had the better time. Like, and the stuff that gives that to me is their engagements, and you can tell their engagements are better, especially in like backlines and stuff, and their rotational point in the midfight. Double the final blows. Double. That's a lot.
Well, that's a lot is a bit of an understatement, and it really did show. Part of the crazy thing for me is the fact that Iora didn't have all those weird high noon shield break setups. They were just hitting that stuff. Beer, the Vulpine Dynamos, as weird as their team play is, it is still team play. They're setting Beer up for amazing plays. Iora is getting set up, of course, but not to the same degree. And even though they're getting a lot of support dumped into them, it is not enough to contend with what has frankly been the weirdest teleporter shenanigans I've ever seen.
I think honestly, this game might be as weird as the last one we had, right? This has been a crazy day of GitGud Europe in Overwatch. We're gonna head to Eichenwald. I think this is a pretty unique pick from the BlueWhites. I think it's actually very similar to Rialto. I think like Hollywood would have been like a similar choice in the essence that there is a lot of weird high grounds and also brawl areas where it's similar to Rialto in that sense where there are brawls, there are high ground areas, and at times Vulpine Dynamos this kind of did get locked in playing brawl like on the point, and that's all they wanted to do, particularly on point B. They didn't really want to take those high ground areas. And what does Eichenwald have? It has a point B with a lot of high ground.
And this is an interesting pick coming out here from Minivale. Going back to that Doomfist that we saw on Busan, and if you're saying there was a Doomfist on Busan, I don't blame you, because Minivale died first on Doomfist almost every time. That's no fault of their own. That was how good Vulpine Dynamo's peel was, especially Pome, always zooming in to punish Minivale. So we'll see if they have any interesting adaptations on this Fist coming out.
I think Toby might be looking to scout on the Sombra here, and maybe go back to the number 3. I think that's what we're seeing right now. Yeah, Toby's just scouting, looking for what they want. I think they're just going to take the brawl matchup and go back into the McCree here. They probably won't change the Zarya, and they'll try to make fights a little bit longer than the BlueWhites would like, because they're running the Zarya, they want quick burst fights.
Yeah, and with this Symmetra, you do actually have the resources and the long-range potential to go for these more pokey fights as you pressure down BlueWhites' resources. Though, as I say that, Vulpine Dynamos are forced to commit their immortality field at the same time. BlueWhites are right on top of them. This is the kind of quick engage you want to be seeing, but Beer is not to be deterred with Ray behind them and an immediate shatter already, almost lapping Aurora. Oh my word, they're gone. They're out of there. It's a clean fight take, a clean point take for the Vulpine Dynamos.
Yeah, I honestly think that the actual how those combinations match up, that scouting paid off. They made the exact sorts they needed to, and honestly, I mean, it was probably going to be the composition they ran anyway. But it gives them a direct play style to play, and that made things a lot simpler for them. Really cool scouting from the Vulpine Dynamos. BlueWhites already on the low ground. I don't like this. It would have been better if they took high ground and fretted the Vulpine Dynamos like they did in Rialto point.
Yeah, just going on the low ground to avoid that amplification matrix. And now Karad is going to engage with their own, but that's a barrier of photons right to prevent that amp matrix from getting the value you would have wanted to see. Vulpine Dynamo is playing this perfectly so far and trying to get the boop onto Aurora, but not going to get caught by that. They will, however, get stunned when they go for the punish, and Pome is there.
Yeah, this has been a really solid map from the Vulpine Dynamos. Just going to finish off that tier and take the lead in this fight. I would worry about this Doomfist getting some value in the mid fight, but being a bit very just
Beer almost has a second shatter before Aora has gotten their first. That's all I have to say about this turnaround. The resources are definitely being committed more into Beer this time to enable them to play up to Aurora's standards.
BlueWhites going over to the Winston for a touch, and also they need to play fast. If you're playing Bulldozer, you gotta be quick, you never stop moving.
Yeah, with those immediate picks, there's no way there's going to be any more ultimates committed to this fight. Just going for the reset right now, but there have been some good environmental kills coming out, which is going to make it very tough.
Right, so if BlueWhites want to stick on this Reinhardt Winston competition, they have to play fast. As soon as there's an opening for a fight, you go, go, go. If you ever stop moving forward, you're hard throwing this. And Vulpine Dynamos know this, and now they're going to play Reaper with McCree, and they're going to try and like back off as soon as that happens and kite really hard, like they just did there now against Minivale, and then react to it. There is a way to do that, but their kiting has to be superb.
Yeah, but Minivale going down so early. They're going to be back as Doomfist, of course, but if another pick comes out, this could be the point done. Beer does have this shatter coming into it. Going to be going for it through the card. It's unexpected, but Aora still gets the block. It goes down onto Karad, but they were able to get the Amp Matrix out before they went down, so it didn't really matter. And with that, Minivale, even though they fall, it's a nice, clean win from BlueWhites.
Yeah, so BlueWhites, they actually, when they want to take that ideal engagement, which isn't actually when Minivale died, it's when they went for the Matrix. That's your engagement time. Every single cooldown gets used. It's the fastest form of Brawl in the game. It's the most aggressive form of Brawl in Overwatch, and they were playing it pretty well there. Vulpine Dynamos, they thought that they had countered the engagement coming in from the BlueWhites. They didn't quite. They got it wrong. They got the timing wrong. I probably would have made the same mistake, you know?
Yeah, and rotating all the way around. Don't need a teleporter if you just walk. You still get a weird angle that lets you get Amber, and once that shield is down, Beer, there's nothing to stop that shatter from coming in from Aora. 5 to the ground right now, as they are making up for that early deficit that Beer got over them. It's a tactical reset.
Tactical reset, definitely not intentional. Or definitely intentional from Minivale. Looking at this next fight, Vulpine Dynamos, you know that you want to play slow against this competition and just wait out their resources, because although if they're not using all their resources at the same time, then they're not playing the competition properly anyway, and you're going to win the team fight. So you just got to be more patient, wait for that engagement, and then you have the death box to come back on.
Kuro giving a lot of covering fire right now as Aora drops down, but Ray punishing Ghostic for coming in. They have to touch right now, but the engage is a little bit slow, especially as Pome throws that self-destruct all the way up. It's really just the Lucio buying time. Ghostic trying to get back to the point, just barely hopping through the window, buying time, and trying to get people off the map as well, but they're going to be quickly focused down, and I don't think anyone's going to be there to keep the Wick alive. As BlueWhites, they have one more point to stop the Vulpine Dynamos from rolling forward.
I think BlueWhites definitely could have taken a team fight there instead of sitting on the bridge. Just go, take the engagement. You've got to win that direct roll unless they kite properly, which Vulpine Dynamos haven't been doing. Now BlueWhites reverting back to this mirror matchup, resetting their ultimate economy. I have to say, I don't like this choice.
Ooh, and this is Tobzy with their eyes on Suomi, who had their eyes on a tank, but Beer was fine. They took the shots to the back, and now they are in position to take this whole point. Obviously, BlueWhites are coming up on some ultimates, but if Tobzy is able to get a nice high noon to zone people out, I'm not sure how well this engage is going to go.
It's the dueling Deadeye yet again. Here comes Tobzy.
Waiting for it, doesn't get the opportunity, and now it's Suomi Sniper's turn. They don't get eaten, but don't really get any value as well. All they do is pressure down Beer's shield, and now fall lower and lower. They have to hold it up for as long as they can as Aora. They have that shatter. I've seen them do work with it before, and they catch Beer and Amber, the two people you would have most wanted to see down. No shield, no Amp Matrix, and that is enough to help BlueWhites stabilize, but I keep saying that Vulpine Dynamos, they're never willing to let a fight go, and that might bite them here because they commit that sound barrier and get nothing for it, just more ultimate charge for the BlueWhites.
Yeah, I wonder if they can actually get this Lucio. I think they will be able to, so that's pretty cool. Actually, we looked at the duel with the Deadeyes there, and I actually think Sniper's Deadeye got a lot more value. You actually managed to get that into the shield, and they instantly used that pressure to get onto Beer, which actually forced Beer to back up, which meant that Ray was on their own. They were able to take down that Reaper, and from there they were able to take control of the fight, although it was a little bit of a difficult one to win. 1 minute 11 left on the clock, only really engagement tools online for Vulpine Dynamos. If they're going to win this fight, it's going to be fast.
Oh, and Ray immediately shut down with the headshot. A nice clean execution from Suomi Sniper that opens this up. Not gonna have to worry about that death blossom anymore, or that Reaper, which means there's nothing to really deter Aoria. I mean, the shadow does go down, or the stun does go down from Tobesy, but that's not enough.
Yeah, I actually really like the Death Blossom idea from the Vulpine Dynamos because the ultimates they had to play extremely fast if they were going to win that fight. However, BlueWhites knew that they executed Ray very beautifully. And yeah, now you're going into this next fight. They've got the ultimate advantage. They've got a mix of ultimates. They've got some ultimates that are very versatile, and they've got ultimates that are reactive like Blizzard and proactive like Deadeye. It's going to be interesting to see what approach they go for as we have last fight territory.
It's up to Aoria to block this Shatter, and Ghost Stick throwing the bomb into the back line. It's gonna burn away that shield. There's nothing to block it. Now, this is the opening Vulpine Dynamos needed, and it's a big Shatter bomb. That's what they needed. Now, it's all stalled right now. They need to get rid of Ghost Stick as soon as possible, and they're instantly dead. Now, just as overtime comes out, Vulpine Dynamos, they finish Eichenwald. Not the perfect push, but it was good. They have another chance.
I do want to point out that self-destruct. So I don't know if you actually saw it, but who was it? It was Pome on the high ground. Had it on the high ground, just pushed the bomb off onto the supports. That was one of the most creative bomb techs I've ever seen for Eichenwald. I really like that actually. That should get clipped up. Mods, clip it. But yeah, no, it was pretty cool. I like that self-destruct, very innovative. I mean, they probably won the fight anyway because BlueWhites never really seemed to pick a plan. They kind of just went with the flow of things. I feel like they could have used a fast Deadeye and then maybe a reactive Blizzard. Like, that could have been a very direct and easy plan for them to make. I just didn't really feel like they ever picked something to go and have confidence in.
And now they're going back to something we know they have confidence in, as Vulpine Dynamos back to the Symmetra McCree strategy. I guess they assume they're not going to really get the value from that Reaper. They have more faith in Ray in the mid-fight, constantly building up that left click. And even though the burst is stronger with the Reaper, Ray with their utility, I feel like they have more faith in that Symmetra.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? Because BlueWhites, they either have to adapt to something, or they just seem to be a lot more confident in their plans that they're executing, or make better plans. I mean, I think it actually might be the latter, making better plans. And it looks like they're just going to adapt and try something different. Yeah, look at this. Double projectile, double wolf time, and it's working out so far. I don't think the Dynamos expected this.
Double damage on the Ray, down immediately. And now you don't have that utility whatsoever, but Tobesy is the one who would deal with Miniveil anyways. Pome and Tobesy have their eyes on the sky, but they have to worry about the ground as well, because there's damage raining in from all angles. This is a very disconnected composition, not going to be clumped up at all. As you can see, Aoria actually going back to look for the spawn camp on the Ray, make sure they can't get back into this. As Pome, their attention is split between the low ground and high ground. Kip falls to Aoria. This is the opening that they needed. BlueWhites, this is the mix-up that could be game deciding, but it's not quite over yet. They are not out of the thick of it because Vulpine Dynamos, they still have the respawns coming in, but attacks from all sides are not something Reinhardt is especially adept at dealing with. Going to fall eventually, and this is looking like a nice fight win for the BlueWhites.
I would like to see like a hard dive composition, or like one of those brawl dive variants come in for Vulpine Dynamos, because if they stick to this composition against BlueWhites, and BlueWhites keep taking up these different angles, making really weird rotations with individual heroes, this is not a matchup you want to take to the Vulpine Dynamos. This direct brawl versus this composition, no, I would never ever take this show in a million years. It would be a living hell. But it's like they want to stick to it. They just want to play faster, ignore the far, and pick one target at a time. That's one way to deal with it, but not the best.
Karod has that immediate anti-nade on a beer. The Immortality Field saved them for a second, but this grab, it's not going to be the clean win that they would have wanted. Still some kills coming out now, but the Nano Boost will be the deciding factor. Straw that broke the camel's back, because even though it's not fight winning, it means that there's no way Vulpine Dynamos can back up, because if they do, the splash damage is just going to blow them to smithereens.
So now we know that Vulpine Dynamos intends taking the zone by just like aggressively brawling and pick one target at a time, and that's fine, right? That's fine. That's a cool plan. But haven't really shown that you could do that like consistently enough to do that 5 times in one team fight to win. And with this Riptire coming off, they have to now deal with an even bigger threat.
Yeah, and the fact that these long-range DPS can constantly poke means they're constantly gonna have ult charge, which means they can constantly threaten these ultimates, even if they're not gonna get the full value from it. Like, you would never want to see 2 DPS commit their ultimates at once, but they're gonna get them in a second anyway, don't worry.
Yeah, additionally, like, they've got Valkyrie this fight. What does Valkyrie do? It means you can damage boost multiple targets at once and fly around in the skies, right? That's more ultimate charge and another kill!
Well, Tobesy has had enough of the shenanigans in the sky. Now they only have one direction they have to worry about. And you can see, BlueWhites know exactly how bad that is. That's an immediate retreat right there. Oh, Aoria, they get the hook! Oh, just barely half of the boosters online.
I thought the D.Va was actually going to put the Hulk off, like, using the boosters, and that could have been really cool. But Aoria getting out of that once they tried to get that. And no Vulpine Dynamos, right? You are in a situation where you actually can take on BlueWhites here. You have ultimates to do so, then maybe you could just consider getting the Brawl comp offline. BlueWhites, you still got options yourselves. You've got both support ultimates and a Graviton Surge to try and win late in the fight. So you want to use those support ultimates first to get in, and then use that Graviton Surge to finish. Let's see if they can execute that sort of play on the offense.
The issue is Tobesy going down. Pome has to be big with this bomb right now, but it's just to buy time while this Graviton Surge is lobbed onto the point. Now, that's a nice shatter, but it doesn't quite catch Aoria, which means they have no way to really get in and punish it. And that means Beer gets no value from their ultimate. Ray coming in, they get the duplicate at the last second to save their own life, and they hook Mini-Veil. This could be the turnaround play, but there's a stronger hog there. Aoria is back on the field, but enough kills have come out. The spawn advantage from Vulpine Dynamos might be enough for a good, strong recontest.
Where was that T-slap thrown from? Because it manages to get to the point and save their support brethren. That means the Vulpine Dynamos hold on by the skin of their teeth here on Anchor Ball Point B. What is promising for them is, look at the time, like 2 minutes and 2 seconds. This round doesn't feel that long because of how long each team fight's been. So if they can just make the team fights long enough on point B and then take a direct brawl fight on point C, then that's an okay plan as well. However, I do feel like this is just like begging to be captured right now.
Tobesy has their eyes out for wherever Mini-Veil is going to show their face. They know exactly what their win condition is. It's to pick off that Far Mercy once again. But Mini-Veil, they're coming in with this barrage soon enough. They know that this is the prime opportunity. Aoria has them all bottled up in the same position once again. And even though they're booped away, Suomi Sniper catches Amber and Pome down. It's so many kills coming out right now. And even though this whole bridge still needs to be crossed, they have an opportunity. BlueWhites, they can get this third point. But even though they had a massive advantage, they couldn't hold on to it long enough because Ray was still alive.
I'm confused. Ray randomly pulls that fight out of the bag on Echo. BlueWhites were in a great position to take that fight, and now they're in the worst position possible. They're in the position of, you've got 1.5 team fights, probably one, because of the distance you have to travel in Eichenwald to win this map. Otherwise, this series is done. Or not even win the map, get this point. Otherwise, series is done. You've got to pick to do it. Opportunities there. Do you want to win this finals? Tell me right now.
Back up against the wall. We've seen miracles happen in this scenario before. It needs to happen again. BlueWhites coming out now. They're going for the engage directly on the point, but Mini-Veil goes down, not even able to burst through that immortality field. As BlueWhites now both support ultimates to sustain through this. Ray does go down. That is a clutch player that is not going to be on the field, but Aoria going for the long flank, the long con, it's not working. It's that risky gambit. It's going to come back to hurt them now. Both support ultimates committed to give Ghostic the advantage as they're pushing in. That Zarya is as good as gone.
That nano boost keeps Ghostic alive and also probably secures 2 kills, right? BlueWhites, that's, you know, if you take the numbers away, that's a 3 kill difference because of that nano boost. Brilliant from Carrot.
Now BlueWhites have a very interesting scenario. Ocean, I'm a bit frozen.
Yeah, my feet's dead too. My feet's dead too.
All right, well,
tech difficulties.
Well, as we try and figure this out, the main thing that does worry me is Ray has a lot of stalling potential. If they can duplicate Aoria, maybe even get... Yeah. Maybe even... So, are we still live?
Yes, we are.
All right. All right, we're still here. We're still trying to figure out this match as best we can. Right now, it appears on paper that BlueWhites have the advantage, the momentum that they need to push through, but we're really not sure how this is gonna go.
Yeah, there's a chance we don't even see what happens. What we could do, right, alternatively, is we could cast like the rest. So I
Yeah.
guess we're gonna have to try and theorize what happens and then give the result of the series. So I mean, BlueWhites, they're probably gonna capture point B, have a minute 30 to take on the Vulpine Dynamos. And that it's gonna be a brawl matchup, and the Vulpine Dynamos are probably gonna be preferred there. So I'm not sure what happened, but I'm gonna assume that the Dynamos hold like near the end of point C.
Yeah. Yeah, I would guess. Yep, that is exactly what happened. We're getting word now. It was a 3-1 on Gibraltar, which means Vulpine Dynamos did get the 3-0 over the BlueWhites. Not a bang, but a whimper. I said that for the last series too, this time for a bit of a different reason, but it was fine. We saw some amazing displays, and one of the few times I can genuinely say a series has given me a handful of moments that I have never seen in Overwatch before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we even saw like different maps we didn't see before. Like I've never seen some of these quarters of the maps that I was going to on Roadhog and Icavold, that sort of thing. A very interesting day of Overwatch, I'll say the least. It's fortunate we didn't get to see the rest of Icavold play out, but the Vulpine Dynamos will be your expert in GitGud finalists or winners.
Yeah, and to be honest, there are a lot of people you could look to for this MVP candidate. The obvious one, I think, is Ray, because it really sets the genre, the flavor of the team as a whole, because they have just been so good at setting the tone for the team. With their Symmetra play, they have been constantly harassing BlueWhites, making sure they can never consider an angle as safe, because there could always be a McCree teleporting in there. Even when they don't have a Deadeye, they can teleport in there. And of course, switching to that last-minute Echo and getting consistent 4Ks time and time again, that was something I did not see coming, but it proves they are not a one-trick.
What was funny to me is I didn't know what was going on every single team fight with what I was doing. This Symmetra was very clearly planned because, well, to me, I would say that they planned playing the Symmetra because they were struggling with getting their high tempo Deadeyes off, and it just became an identity for them, right? That's what I would guess this became a thing. And I thought Ray played really well today. I mean, points maybe should have got off the Echo, right, to help their team a little bit more. Or sorry, off the Symmetra onto the Echo. And honestly, I thought their Echo was good on Icavold. They had a really clutch team fight to bring it back. I think without that clutch team fight, that becomes a very difficult map.
But it is going to be Pome who has taken the lead in the MVP vote, and to be honest, I can definitely see why. One of the more consistent off-tanks I've ever seen, coming in clutch time and time again. Think of all the times Pome on that Diva has hit these immaculate plays just when Vulpine Dynamo seemed out of it. Because after the first map, BlueWhites, they were definitely putting up a fight. This is a 3-0, but it's not a 3-0. Like, BlueWhites kept it even, kept it close throughout the entire time, but Vulpine Dynamos kept pulling things out of their hat that you would never expect.
It was also little things for Pome, right? Where you had on, like, Rialto a couple of occasions where Pome would move the cart so that you force rotation, that sort of thing. Additionally, you had the moments on Rialto where Pome would just keep a fight alive so you get an extra team fight on point A or point B. Unfortunately, you didn't take advantage of those extra team fights that you would get, but Pome made those little intricate plays that I quite liked, and I would have given the MVP to Pome, but we also give it to an off-tank earlier, so give it to Ray.
Give it to you. I'd say Pome has good and well earned it, as well as earned the title of champion of the GitGud Limited Expert Division. I mean, they definitely earned it. They went undefeated throughout this entire season, and we can see why. They have been a force to be reckoned with. I think BlueWhites was a very good team. Even they were having trouble adapting to what Vulpine was throwing at them.
Oh, what I want to point out is this Diva stats on Icavold, right? Look at the eliminations to get the final blows. This Diva is involved in everything that Dynamos does. right? And when they do need a kill, it's probably a self-destruct, right? They're not going for these kills, they're not going for these hard dives. What they are doing is roll for their team every single team fight, and I really like that. Additionally, right, they're doing a good amount of damage because you could tell 14 ultimates used. That's a lot. I mean, of course, that's also your remix because I think there's only like count how many times you press Q. So we'll see what that number is, but still a very big number.
Yeah, it really was a difference maker quite a few times. Having that consistent off tank just lets the entire team get away with more. One tiny thing about Pome that I do want to mention that we didn't really mention at all is whenever they went for those risky Deadeye plays, teleporting behind, you know who was always there with Ray? It was Pome. Putting the D-Matrix up, making sure that even though it was a crazy play, it was not an overwhelmingly risky play.
Yeah. Even when Ray was putting up the teleporters, when the Deadeye was going off, Matrix is there and supplying.
Yeah. Now, I do have to ask, what was your favorite play, Ocean, throughout all that? Because I wouldn't usually ask that question, but there were so many unique ones. I've got to see what your professional opinion is, your Contenders Trials opinion.
Probably the sticky bomb off the high ground. I think I liked that more than the boot bomb. The boot bomb was really cool because I've never seen that before, but I think I liked the little sticky bomb off the high ground. I think that was cool.
Oh, yeah. On Rialto, that was just such a fight turner right there, because it seemed like BlueWhites had stabilized. They had figured out exactly what they needed to do to counter out Vulpine Dynamos. And then, out of nowhere, you force them to split their attention. And that was BlueWhite's whole game plan at the end in Eichenwald, split their attention. You would think they had maybe learned it from Vulpine, from what they did on Rialto.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both these teams were very creative teams. They adapted over the course of the series to each other's mayhem, and it made for a very interesting time.
But, for now, I do believe that is all we have for you for Get Good EU. There will be more Get Good action coming up soon. I believe it is at 8 o'clock, I believe, is 8 o'clock EST, but at the very least, 19 Eastern Daylight Time, 23 UTC, if you are on that, but GGNA is still going on. You'd think, oh, we've seen so much Get Good today. There couldn't possibly be more. There is. It's coming at you live soon enough.
All right, I think that's really it for this time. We'll see you next time.